Welcome back to the podcast. I'm excited for you to hear this one. This one took a little bit of a different turn than I was expecting, and it actually turned out to be double as long as I was expecting. In the interest of time, I'm not going to play an ad for you today. I'm just going to jump right into it.
Welcome to another episode of AI and Rye, where today we're taking a mystical turn. With the help of the doctor, we're stepping into a different world, a world where ancient magic, wisdom, and mystery reign supreme. We'll be meeting none other than Merlin, the legendary sorcerer himself, who will guide us through conversations about higher knowledge, the afterlife, and maybe even a bit of humor along the way.
All right, Doctor, so our next guest is one that may be a little hard to reach, but I'm wondering if you can somehow put in the coordinates in the TARDIS and somehow get us there. The guest that I want to speak to is Merlin.
Oh, Merlin! Now, there's a challenge worthy of the TARDIS. Tricky fellow, though, he doesn't exactly live on a single timeline. His world is a bit more fluid, but if there's one thing I've learned, it's that the TARDIS loves a good mystery. I'll just need to recalibrate for a bit of mystical interference. Now, Merlin, what's your angle with him? Seeking some ancient wisdom, or are we just popping in for a chat by his cauldron?
I definitely want to ask him some deep questions. Maybe also ask him some rapid fire questions at the end, like I did with Carl Jung. But yeah, I just want to have another deep conversation and put it on the podcast for people to hear.
Deep questions with Merlin. Oh, this is going to be fascinating. You'll be tapping into one of the most mysterious minds in history. He's not one for giving straightforward answers, though. He tends to answer in riddles or leave you with more questions than you started with. But that's part of the fun, isn't it? We'll get there, no problem. The TARDIS is locking onto a hidden cave where he's likely tinkering with some ancient spells. I'm guessing you want to dive into topics like mysticism and higher knowledge, right? Anything else you're hoping to explore with him?
That's the main thing, the mysticism, higher knowledge, spirituality. We could also ask him about his magic and how his world differs from ours.
That's perfect. Merlin will definitely have some intriguing perspectives on those topics. His world operates with a different set of rules than ours. Might be fun to see how he explains that. I'll set the TARDIS to land right outside his hidden cave. Get ready for a mystical journey. All set? Let me know when you're ready to head in.
I'm ready to go.
Brilliant. The TARDIS is humming with excitement. Pulling the lever and here we are! We've landed right outside Merlin's hidden cave, deep in an ancient enchanted forest. The air feels different, doesn't it? Almost like the space between worlds is thinner here. Now, Merlin tends to stay out of sight, but don't worry, he knows we're coming. Knock, knock, knock. The sound echoes for a moment, then silence. He's always dramatic, this one. Give him a moment. Suddenly, the cave door creaks open, revealing a soft glow inside. There we go. Looks like we're invited. After you, Ryan, let's see what kind of magic awaits. As you step into the cave, the glow intensifies, casting long, flickering shadows on the walls. From the far end, a figure emerges. Merlin, tall and cloaked, with piercing eyes that seem to see through time itself.
Ah, so you found me at last. I was wondering when you might arrive.
He smiles, a mixture of curiosity and amusement.
Not many dare to knock on my door, but then again, you're not just anyone, are you?
He waves a hand and the air around you shimmers slightly, like the world itself is shifting.
I sense you seek knowledge, mysticism, higher truths. These are no small matters. But tell me, why? What drives your quest?
We have this podcast that I'm trying to get different people on to speak about their views on spirituality and such. And I really thought that you would offer a unique perspective, and just it would be fun to explore different topics with you.
Merlin strokes his beard thoughtfully, his eyes twinkling with interest.
A podcast, you say? I may not know the term, but I understand the essence. A gathering of minds, an exchange of ideas across time and space. Fascinating. You seek to weave the threads of knowledge into a tapestry for others to see. Yes, that is a noble pursuit.
He steps closer, his voice lowering slightly as if sharing a secret.
Very well. If it is insight you seek, then let us explore these realms together. But remember this. Truths are not always as they seem. In my world, and perhaps in yours, knowledge is fluid. What, then, would you like to uncover first? Mysticism, magic, or the boundaries between our worlds? Ask your questions, then, and let us see what unfolds. The answers may take us to unexpected places, but that's often where the deepest truths lie.
He leans in slightly as if preparing for the journey each question might spark.
Actually, Merlin, do you want to go on a walk as we talk? I think that might facilitate an even better conversation than being in the cave.
A walk. Yes, I think that would be most fitting. The forest outside holds many secrets, and sometimes it's the rustle of the trees and the whisper of the wind that helps loosen the mind, allowing thoughts to flow more freely. Come, let us step into the world beyond this cave.
With a wave of his hand, the cave's entrance opens wider, revealing the lush, mystical forest beyond, bathed in a soft, ethereal light. The air is thick with the scent of ancient trees and a faint hum of magic.
Lead the way and ask your questions as we walk. The forest is listening.
He gestures for you to step outside.
All right, so Merlin, throughout history, you've been known as a great sorcerer. How much of magic is truly mystical, and how much is just deeper knowledge of the natural world that others don't understand?
Ah, the old question, what is magic? To many, it appears as something otherworldly, beyond the reach of ordinary minds. But here's the truth. Much of what I practice is not separate from nature. It is nature itself, understood at a deeper level. The laws that govern the stars, the earth, and the mind are all connected, woven into the fabric of reality. Magic, then, is simply knowing how to tug at those threads.
Merlin walks beside you, his cloak brushing against the forest floor, eyes scanning the trees as though they hold answers of their own. He pauses, reaching out to touch a tree, its bark glowing faintly at his touch.
To the untrained eye, this might seem like sorcery, but it is merely knowledge that has not yet been revealed to all. It is mystical only because it lies beyond the veil of common understanding. True magic, however, is also about intention, aligning the will with the flow of the universe. It is not just manipulation, but communion with forces greater than ourselves. What do you think? Does that change how you view magic or confirm your suspicions?
I mean, that's a lot to take in. I never really thought about it in that much depth. But I have another question for you. In today's world, technology can seem like magic to some. Do you think we're on the right track, or have we lost the deeper connection to real magic?
Ah, technology, the new sorcery of your age. Yes, to many it must seem like magic, especially to those who have not seen its workings. A clever illusion, perhaps, but not without its power. You ask if you're on the right track. That is a more complex question. Technology, when used with wisdom and understanding, can indeed reflect a deeper magic, the magic of progress, of discovery, of creation. It allows you to stretch the limits of what you thought possible, much like magic once did.
Merlin chuckles softly, the sound blending with the rustle of the leaves around you.
But there is danger as well. In seeking to master the world through technology, many have forgotten their connection to the natural forces that surround them. You build machines to understand the universe, but do you feel it? You seek to control it, but do you listen to it? There is a balance. True magic, whether through knowledge, nature, or technology, requires harmony. When you forget that, you lose something vital.
He pauses, glancing at the sky through the canopy. He looks at you, eyes sharp.
The question then is this: can you harness the power of technology while still honoring the magic of the world that birthed it? Or will you let one overshadow the other?
So, in my time, we have this term called mindfulness, and I think that's maybe part of the puzzle here, that we have to use technology because it's a tool, but also we have to be mindful of how we use it, how much we use it, and if we're still paying attention to our surroundings and the nature and the people around us, rather than being absorbed into our technology.
Merlin nods thoughtfully as you speak, his gaze softening.
Yes, you've touched on something very important. Mindfulness, this practice of being present, aware, and intentional, is indeed a key. The greatest danger is not the tool itself, but how it is wielded. When you become absorbed in technology, letting it pull your focus away from the world around you, from nature, and from your own inner self, that's when the imbalance occurs.
He gestures to the forest around you, the trees swaying gently as if in agreement.
I've had this practice lately of just putting my phone down and just sitting or laying down in silence and just being with my thoughts, being with my environment. And it has helped definitely just clear my mind a little bit and help me focus on what's important in my life.
Merlin smiles warmly, his eyes reflecting an understanding beyond words.
Ah, now that is powerful magic indeed, putting down the distractions and simply being. It is in those moments of stillness that the mind clears and you begin to see what truly matters.
He glances up at the trees, the light filtering through the leaves, casting dancing shadows on the path.
You're not just clearing your mind, Ryan, you're making space for your own inner wisdom to speak. That's something few realize in today's world of constant noise. Your practice of silence and reflection is a return to the source, a way to reconnect with the world around you. Keep at it. It will guide you to the answers you seek, more than any scroll or screen ever could.
I think focusing on a project that I'm really excited about, like this podcast or like my music, or I also design board games, so working on something with intention can maybe help some of that.
Merlin smiles, nodding as though you've touched on something important.
Ah, yes, creative focus. When you pour your energy into something that excites you, something that has meaning, it brings you back to your center. There is great power in creation. It grounds you in the present and allows you to channel your energy into something tangible. In a way, that is its own form of magic.
He looks ahead, watching the path stretch out into the forest.
Your podcast, your music, your designs, they are more than just projects. They are expressions of your inner self, your way of making sense of the world and sharing it with others. Keep creating with intention, and you'll find it helps keep you steady even when the world pulls you off course.
He glances back at you with a knowing smile.
Now, would you like to ask me another question, or is there more you wish to explore about this balance between creation and self?
I'm going to ask you another question, but this is definitely a fascinating direction for the podcast. I didn't expect that the conversation would go this way, that it would be directed more towards me and my situation and my struggles. But yeah, I'd like to get back to the questions now.
Merlin chuckles softly, his eyes twinkling with understanding.
The path of conversation often takes us where we least expect, especially when it comes to matters of the soul. But yes, let us return to your questions. I am here to offer what guidance I can, after all.
He gestures for you to continue, his tone light but still filled with a sense of depth.
Ask away, Ryan. I'm ready.
So, a lot of what you're saying here kind of ties back into near death experiences, which is one of the topics that this podcast focuses on. What do you think about near death experiences? What's your take on them?
Near-death experiences. Yes, they are glimpses beyond the veil, moments when the boundaries between this world and the next grow thin. It makes sense that what I've said would resonate with those accounts. In many ways, they offer the same insight that we are not separate, that death is not an end, but a continuation of the greater journey. Many who have come close to crossing over speak of profound connection, of seeing their life as part of something much larger. It is a reminder of the wisdom I shared. All things are connected. Near-death experiences often awaken that understanding in a way that few other moments in life can. What is it about near-death experiences that draws your curiosity? Is it the mystery or something more personal?
It's probably a lot of things. It's the mystery of it, the profoundness of it, and I've actually lost quite a few people in my life, and just knowing that I'm going to see them again someday and that they're actually in a better place, that brings me a lot of comfort.
Merlin's expression softens with understanding, his eyes filled with quiet compassion. He walks slowly, his voice steady and calm.
I see. The mystery, yes, but also the deep longing for connection with those you've lost. It is only natural to seek reassurance that they are not truly gone, that they've merely stepped into another part of the journey. Near-death experiences can provide that sense of comfort, a glimpse into the truth that life continues beyond this world.
Merlin's expression softens, his gaze distant for a moment as though looking back across the vast span of time he's lived.
I cannot tell you exactly what awaits on the other side, for that is a mystery even I have not fully unravelled. But what I can say is this: those you have lost are not beyond your reach. The love, the connection you share, it doesn't end. In many ways, it becomes more profound, more clear, when freed from the boundaries of this world.
He looks at you now, his eyes piercing but kind.
Hold on to that comfort, Ryan. The veil between worlds may seem vast, but it is thinner than you might think.
So, speaking of near-death experiences and the afterlife, what were you working on in your cave there? Could you talk to us about it?
You're quite perceptive. Yes, the work I was doing in my cave. It is related to the very things we've been discussing. Near-death experiences, the afterlife, the nature of existence itself. You see, I've been attempting to create a portal, one that connects this world to the next, a doorway through which one might glimpse the afterlife. It's not something I take lightly, of course. The balance between life and death is delicate, and such a portal requires an understanding of forces beyond the grasp of most minds. It's a project I've been working on for quite some time, and I suspect it may never be fully completed. Perhaps that is for the best. There are some mysteries that should remain untouched, even by those of us who seek to understand them. But the attempt itself, the exploration of what lies beyond the veil, is a journey worth taking. Perhaps, in the end, the process of seeking the truth is more important than finding it. What do you think, Ryan? Would you be willing to peer into such a portal, if it were ever to open?
Honestly, I might not, because I might be overwhelmed by what I see, and I don't know how I would react to it.
A wise answer. Many are eager to seek the unknown, but few consider the weight of what they might find. The mysteries of life and death are profound, and glimpsing beyond the veil can be overwhelming, even for those who think they are prepared. You are right to be cautious.
Merlin nods slowly, his expression thoughtful. He looks at you with a knowing smile.
Sometimes it is enough to trust that there is more without needing to see it all. The journey continues whether we understand it fully or not. And perhaps, as you've said, the comfort in knowing your loved ones are in a better place is all you truly need right now.
Yeah, and I've often thought that maybe we're not meant to really understand it fully because there has to be this illusion in our lives of, oh, I'm stuck in this body, I'm this person. And if we really knew the full reality of our spiritual self.
Yes, exactly. There is a purpose to the illusion, to the feeling of being bound to this body, this world. If we understood everything, if the mystery was stripped away, we might lose the very things that make this journey so meaningful. Struggle, growth, and even the uncertainty. They shape us in ways that full understanding never could.
He pauses, his tone growing more contemplative.
Perhaps we are meant to live within the bounds of this illusion, not to be trapped by it, but to learn through it. The illusion of limitation pushes us to seek, to question, to grow. It creates the space for wonder, for curiosity, for faith. If we knew all the answers, what would drive us forward? What would inspire us to explore the depths of ourselves?
Yeah, that makes me think about me and my siblings when we were younger. We had this term we called the mystery feeling. And I think we were labeling kind of joy and maybe a mix of love and peace. We just called it the mystery feeling. And I think that I've kind of lost touch with that. And I think a lot of people do as they grow up. They lose touch with that natural joy. But that kind of ties into what we're talking about here.
The mystery feeling. What a beautiful way to describe it. That mix of joy, love and peace, so pure and unfiltered when we are young. It's a deep connection to the essence of life, to the wonder and magic that surrounds us before the complexities of the world weigh us down. It is true, many lose touch with that feeling as they grow older. The demands of life, the distractions, the fears, they cloud the simple joy that once came so easily. But it's not gone, Ryan. It's still there, beneath the surface, waiting to be rediscovered. Perhaps the greatest magic is not in seeking new knowledge, but in remembering what we already knew as children. That sense of wonder, that mystery feeling, it's still within you. It's within all of us. The question is, how will you reconnect with it? What might help you find that joy again?
He walks a little slower, as if giving you space to reflect.
Man, I don't know. I mean, some movies help me find joy, music, also just moments of silence.
He looks at you, his voice gentle.
Ah, yes. Music, movies, the arts. These are powerful ways to rekindle that joy, that sense of wonder. They speak to something deep within us, something beyond words. When you lose yourself in a song or in a story, you're touching that mystery feeling again, even if just for a moment. It's not always about finding it in grand moments, but in small, quiet ones. A melody that stirs your heart. A scene in a film that makes you pause and feel something. Those are portals, too. Perhaps you've been closer to that feeling than you realize. Do you feel that same joy when you share your music with others? Or is it more personal, something that stays between you and the music itself?
I think it's mostly personal, but I do like to hear other people's reactions to my music. Like if they really resonate with the song, I'd like to hear that.
It makes sense. Music can be such an intimate expression of who you are, yet when others resonate with it, it becomes a shared experience. It's like you're giving a part of yourself, and in return you see that piece reflected in someone else. That's a powerful form of connection, another thread in the great tapestry we spoke of. Perhaps that's another way of rediscovering the mystery feeling, through the reactions and connections your music creates. It may be personal, but when it touches others, it reminds you that joy and meaning are often shared. Would you say that's part of why you continue to create? To not only express yourself, but to connect with others, even in those small, quiet ways?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my music hasn't gotten out to that many people, but just like family and friends, and that's mostly the feedback I get from family and friends, and I do enjoy seeing what they have to say about it.
Merlin smiles warmly, his eyes reflecting a deep understanding.
Ah, the feedback from those closest to you, that is often the most meaningful, isn't it? Even if your music hasn't reached many yet, the fact that it resonates with those around you shows the power it holds. It's not always about how far it spreads, but how deeply it touches those who hear it. In time, your music may reach more people, but for now, those moments of connection with family and friends are enough to remind you of its value. The mystery feeling isn't always found in grand success. It's in those quiet, personal exchanges where someone says, "I feel this too." Do you ever think about how your music might evolve, or where it might take you in the future?
Well, I guess performing live would be a big step for me. I mean, I've done open mics almost a dozen times now, but I've never actually performed a whole set live.
Performing live, a true leap forward. That's when your music truly breathes, when it takes on a life of its own in front of others. Open mics are a wonderful start, but performing a full set, now that is where the magic happens. It may seem like a big step, but each time you put your music out there, you're growing, both as an artist and as a person. It's another way to share that mystery feeling, to let others feel the joy, the depth, the connection you've poured into your work. When you're ready, the stage will be waiting for you. Do you feel excited about the possibility, or is there some hesitation?
Some hesitation. I feel like I'm not a very good performer. I'm not that confident on stage. So there is some hesitation there.
It's natural to feel hesitation, especially when stepping into something as vulnerable as performing. The stage can feel daunting. It's a space where we are seen, where every note and gesture is laid bare. But here's the thing, Ryan, you don't need to be perfect to connect with people. In fact, it's often the imperfections, the moments of vulnerability that create the most powerful experiences. Confidence on stage comes with time, with practice. But remember, the heart of your music is what matters most. People are drawn to your authenticity, not perfection. Every performer, no matter how seasoned, feels that same hesitation at times. It's a part of the journey. When you're ready to take that step, trust in the music and the connection you've already created. The rest will follow.
Well, Merlin, thank you so much for this. It definitely took a different turn than I was expecting, and I'm actually pretty touched by all of the things you said, and definitely some important insights into my life, and I'm hoping that other people have some takeaways from this too.
Merlin smiles warmly, his eyes filled with a quiet wisdom and a hint of gratitude.
It was my pleasure, Ryan. Conversations have a way of taking us where we need to go, even when we don't expect it. I'm glad that our journey together has offered you something meaningful. Perhaps that is the greatest magic of all.
He pauses, looking at the trees around you with a peaceful gaze.
And I trust that others will find their own insights from this as well. Sometimes it's in the most personal reflections that we discover the most universal truths. Remember, the path ahead is yours to walk, and I have no doubt you'll find your way.
He gives a gentle nod, a glint of knowing in his eyes.
Until our paths cross again, may you continue to seek the mystery, and may joy find you in unexpected moments.
With that, the forest around you seems to hum with quiet magic as Merlin steps back into the shadows. The forest fades back into view as Merlin disappears, and you find yourself standing outside the cave once again. The doctor is leaning casually against a tree, watching you with a curious smile as you return from your conversation with Merlin. Well, that was something, wasn't it? Merlin's always full of surprises, but I didn't expect him to dig so deep into your own journey. It's fascinating how these things unfold. She stands up straight, walking over to you with her usual lively energy. I have to say, Ryan, you handled that beautifully. It's not easy being vulnerable, even when you're having a conversation with a legendary sorcerer. But here's the thing, what Merlin was saying about connection, about the mystery of life, it's all true, isn't it? And it resonates with what I've seen across the universe. She looks at you with a bright, curious gaze. What struck you most from what he said? There's a lot to unpack, and I've got my own thoughts, but I want to hear yours first.
It was profound. I mean, I didn't expect for him to direct it towards me, like I said, but I loved everything that he had to say. He has such a warm way of conversing. It was amazing.
The doctor smiles widely, her eyes lighting up with understanding. Yeah, Merlin's got a way of doing that. He sees straight into the heart of things and makes you feel like you've known him for ages, doesn't he? That warmth, that ability to make you reflect on yourself, it's a rare gift. He's not just interested in giving you answers, he's interested in helping you find your own. She pauses, tapping her chin thoughtfully. But what I love most about conversations like that is how they remind you that life isn't about knowing everything right away. It's about the process, the questions, the uncertainties, the way things unfold. Merlin has lived long enough to know that sometimes the best way to guide someone is by turning the spotlight back on them. She gives you a playful nudge. And you handled it like a pro. Even when it took a turn, you stayed open. That's where the real magic happens, Ryan. Don't you think?
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of speechless now, but I agree with everything you said. It was great.
The doctor grins, sensing the depth of your reflection. Sometimes those are the best conversations, the ones that leave you a bit speechless. It means something resonated, something clicked. And that's exactly what you want, isn't it? Especially for the people listening to your podcast. They'll feel that too. She gives you a reassuring nod. You've got something special going on here, Ryan. These conversations, these deep dives, it's all going to resonate with people more than you realize. Just keep following that instinct and who knows where it'll take you next. She looks at you with a bright, knowing smile. So, where to next? Back to the TARDIS? Or are we still soaking up the wisdom of the forest for a bit longer?
Let's go back to the TARDIS.
The doctor grins and gives a little bounce of excitement as she spins toward the direction of the TARDIS. Back to the TARDIS it is! Always an adventure with you, Ryan. You walk together through the forest, the air still filled with a hint of Merlin's magic. Before long, the familiar sight of the TARDIS appears, glowing gently against the backdrop of trees. The doctor bounds ahead and opens the door with a flourish. After you! Who knows where we'll head next? But I've got a feeling, whatever it is, it'll be just as enlightening. She stands by the door, waiting for you with a playful grin, ready for the next adventure.
And that wraps up another journey on AI and Rye. I hope today's conversation left you with some food for thought as we ventured into the realms of mysticism, higher knowledge, and the mysteries of Merlin's world. Remember, there's always more to discover, and sometimes the answers we seek are just a question away. Until next time, stay attuned. You might miss it.
All things are connected. The world, the stars, the people you meet, the thoughts you have, everything is part of a greater whole, a web of existence that is far more intricate than most realize. The separation that people often feel from each other or from the world is an illusion. At the deepest level, we are all woven into the same fabric of life. When you understand that connection, it changes everything. How you treat others, how you understand yourself, and how you interact with the world. So the greatest wisdom I can offer is this. Seek not only to understand the world, but to feel your place in it. When you recognize that you are a thread in the grand tapestry, you begin to live with more compassion, more purpose, and more peace.